Well, I've had the Fiat for about 6 years now, and I've created a race car. It's functional, it's ugly, but it works pretty darn good. I've invested about $10,000. Most of that has been in restoring the performance aspect of the vehicle, along with refurbishing the seats and some things like fixing the fuel gauge, making sure the turn signals work, bushings, bearings, fuel system, everything that will make the car reliable as a daily driver and something that I could use on the racetrack. The most recent thing I've been working on is perfecting the suspension. I installed a set of coilovers on this a little over a year ago, and the front coils were 275 inch-pound, the rear coils were 325 inch-pounds. This presented me with a problem, as when I went to slow down out at the track, the car didn't want to stop. Not enough weight was transferring to the nose of the car, so it just skittered along and it didn't stop very well. So I remedied that by replacing the 275-pound springs in the front with 225-pound springs. That completely solved the problem. And plus I have a Adco sway bar on the front, which I've had for quite some time, so the spring rates, as far as when I'm turning, it's very well balanced. The only thing that really prevents this from being a beautiful car, a restored car, is the bodywork. I did what I could with the paint. It was obviously resprayed when I got it, very poorly, but it's been good enough. I'm not a body man. I would be pretty frustrated if I made that a priority, because this car has suffered one indignity after the next. I had a problem with these coilovers when I first installed them. Got everything set up the way I liked it, and they weren't holding their camber. There's a slot where you put the bolt to adjust the camber, and see, no matter how much I tightened the bolt down, it kept on having the camber come loose. So I solved that by putting a little piece of metal, actually from a nail, and stuck it in the void there where the hole was, so that the bolt couldn't move. And you know, it sounds like a stupid redneck solution, but it worked, and it's been working, so I'm sticking with it. Once in a while you got to save money on these cars. That might be the only solution there is, so that's what I'm doing. I've done extensive testing out on a racetrack, and I'm really happy with the suspension, the way it's ended up. The camber settings are holding just fine. The tires are wearing evenly, and I found that I can set the rebound on the conies on full stiff all the way around, and it runs just fine like that. I've done several things at the front of the vehicle. For one thing, I put a high-performance radiator in it. There was a lot of problems with the cooling in the car when I first bought it. For one, the thermostat doesn't turn on the fan until it gets to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, and I thought it would be best to add a separate fan with a switch on it, a little rocker switch inside, so that I can turn on that fan and just have it running anytime, in addition to the other electric fan that's on there on the thermostat. It holds its temperature pretty good now. It's not bad at all. Another thing I did was install a spoiler on the front here. This is the second one that I've installed on here. I cut them out of a piece of aluminum and just had some holes drilled on here and some brackets, some supports, some riv nuts on here holding them on. The first one I destroyed as I hit a low water crossing a little too fast, and I damaged it. So I made the next one so it's not fiberglassed in. This one's replaceable. All I have to do is pull off these 5 screws, and it takes me about, I don't know, an afternoon to fabricate another spoiler for the front. As often as I'm going to go through them, I figured that would be the wise thing to do. It doesn't look perfect, but it's effective, and it's going to work for me. As I said before, I put a sway bar in the front. This car didn't come from the factory with any sway bars at all, which made it really entertaining to drive on the road with the soft springs it had. But it wasn't the fastest when it comes to transitioning, especially in slaloms. So that made a huge difference, even before I upgraded to the coilovers. These Panasports are really cool. I bought them for Midwest Bayless, one of their used items that they had available. I think I paid about $600 for them, and they actually came with some old race tires on them. The 13's in the front, 14's in the back, staggered. That looks kind of cool. Probably not the best for getting tires, but that's okay. Allows me to run a 205 in the back and a 185 in the front. It seems to be pretty well balanced for the car. The brakes are EDC green stuff, ceramic pads. They work well enough. So I rebuilt the brakes when I bought the car, and replaced the hoses on them. Did a full rebuild on the pistons and everything, and the rubber seals and all that. Also went in and replaced the ball joints and stuff, because that's something you should always do when you have a car this old. I don't know what it is with Europeans and their insistence on using bolts instead of nuts on their wheel hubs. But I think if you're wrong, you should just admit it and start doing things like everybody else. I spent quite a while restoring the motor on this. I pulled it out, replaced all the gaskets, and then I added in a cam, a light and flywheel, 4-into-1 header with a high flow catalytic converter. I put some holes in the air cleaner housing to allow more air to flow through there. I think what's holding this car back right now is the throttle body. You can only get so much air in there. That seems to be the limiting factor, and I don't really know what to do about it other than to go to dual carbs. And I think going to carburetors would be a step in the wrong direction, seeing how this gets such good gas mileage, and it purrs like a kitten right now at any altitude.
A7, this is Christine Wells in the yellow S2000, 56.183, 56.183, almost a full 2 seconds off, actually more than 2.2 seconds off her first run. What a great second run for Christine Wells, car A7.